And welcome into another edition of the East County Sports Report with Dave Dickens. I'm Ramon Scott. Joining us, Dave. We might know him nowadays, I guess, as the head coach of the Grossmont Foothillers. We want to know him maybe as USD's all-time passing leader. Dave, you remember him as the great Grossmont High quarterback for uh, 3 years anyway. Anthony Lawrence joining us today, Dave. Thanks for getting a great guest once again, Dave. We're going to have some fun with Coach Lawrence. We're just a couple of days away from practice right now, Dave, and ready for the football season. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, Anthony, we really appreciate you taking some time out, just like we had Danny Mitchell all the way down from Birmingham talking with us. But we really appreciate you just kind of giving us a flavor of what Grossmont and the Foothillers, the direction that you guys are going now. You already got one season under your belt, and I remember hearing that you were going to change the culture. A lot of your players were saying too about changing the culture over there at Grossmont. Can you elaborate on what they were talking about specifically, and then maybe some players that are coming back that are impact players, and maybe some younger talent that's coming up from JV that you see making a big difference?
Yeah. First off, thank you guys for having me. Wouldn't miss East County Sports. Any opportunity to talk football, especially with you guys at East County Sports. Everyone talks about the PPR, rightfully so, but East County Sports does a great job, and I always loved checking the website and checking the write-ups every week. So appreciate what you guys do. Yeah, like you said, coming off year one, it was a lot. You play football your whole life and do a little bit. I did coach receivers at USD for a year, and then you take over a high school job, and it's a lot more than you think, and it's not as much football as you'd, or at least as I'd hoped. But yeah, the culture, trying to get the Grossmont way back. It felt like Grossmont was always a tough, grimy, gritty team that fought, all the way through the game, regardless of the score, regardless of where we were at. So trying to build that up, get the guys playing tough, fast. Played for two head coaches. So the head coach I had my junior and senior year, Coach Carlo, instilled the up-tempo offense, and that's what we're doing now. So playing fast and trying to throw it around a little bit.
The surprise, Dave. Like that wasn't going to happen.
Now, did you already have it in the back of your mind? I mean, were you, if you can actually say that you were you having late night ball talk with, let's just say, Coach Tom Carlo or anybody from the team, if you can say so?
Yeah. I loved my time at Grossmont and playing at Grossmont, and then I felt like I kind of grew up as a football player and as a football mind at USD, where we were running the West Coast. Our offensive coordinator my first 4 years is now with the Lions, and the offensive coordinator my senior year is now with the Bills. So kind of grew up as a football mind, and my understanding of the game evolved, but I still had that itch to throw it around and go up tempo and spread it out. So now, combining the two styles, and they're very different, but definitely spoke with Carlo, and he's been helping me a ton. Spoke with my old coaches as well, Coach Curiel, Coach Goodrich, and they've been helping me out the whole way. Any questions I have and any ideas, we bounce off each other. So it's been great.
Fantastic. What I did want to, I wanted to kind of back up a little bit past the USD and Japan, and go back to one of the games that I happened to personally. My dad sent me to my first official assignment in 2011. I remember wasn't it a pretty cold night too?
It was chilly.
Mira Mesa.
Oh yeah. It was definitely chilly.
And in that 2011 game, you're a sophomore, and boy, they just came out. The Marauders came out and just, I mean, they made some serious stops. They had you guys contained. You had to be super frustrated, especially being a younger player, being a sophomore, and leading that team in a big game like that.
Yeah, it was a lot. They were the 5 seed, and they were a good team. Their quarterback safety was Trey Lomax, who went on and had a good career at SDSU. They had a good receiver. I'm forgetting his name, but really good team. And I was a young player, and I still talk to the seniors from that team who kind of were like, the young guys coming in and see how he does. And I always apologize, man, if I had been a year or two older, we would have had a real shot that year, because we had some studs on defense, had some good receivers. So, but yeah, ended up pulling it out at the end there.
Well, Dave, you covered that game, and you were all fired up about it to see Anthony and talk about that game. The Foothillers trailed the game 25-0 at halftime, Dave, but we pulled out of the archives, Dave.
Here we go.
Check it out, Dave. Highlights of this one, and let's take a look. Anthony, no one was a world traveler right now, but take a look at some of these highlights, Dave, right now. Anthony, if you could tell me all these receivers. Now, who's this, Anthony?
That's Ryan Green. That was the main target that year. I'm sure he'll have a few. This was Lawson Medeiros, a senior for us, coming up big. Chuck Taylor. Chuck Taylor was his nickname. Who was that? Look, maybe Josh Anderson. Here's Ryan Green again, man. Had a good little game.
Oh man, and look at this, and the big time comeback for the Hillers. The Lawrence Walker, he came over.
Lawrence Walker.
Christian. He was at Christian, and then
no, that's a different Lawrence Walker.
Okay,
but
that's right.
But his nephew is now playing at Grossmont.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Part of the team this year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about it now.
And Ryan, he was mentioning Ryan Green, so I figured I just saw it in here at the end of that game. During the break, Coach Murphy chose to remain on the playing field. They didn't go to the locker room and just decided to counsel you guys in the end zone. And he had to say that Coach told him that they were better than the 12 seed you were tagged with, and that you'd come back all year and to be encouraged. And that's what Ryan Green had to say at the time. And again, brought up the Ramona game. If you can come back from that one, we can definitely come back from this one.
Oh yeah.
Dave and Anthony, Coach Murphy commented. You remember that video, probably, Anthony, back then, or maybe even you probably go back and watch that again a few times. He commented after that game. Do you guys? I think, can we show that, Anthony? That quote from the late Coach Murphy passed away. And it changed things, but you showed your talent at that point. We knew what was going on. We knew what the Foothillers were about too. Let's look at. Oh man, makes my heart skip a beat here, Dave. Let's listen
here in the second half.
Well, I just had to remind them that they had to believe that they could win. We've overcome deficits before, and they're high school kids. They're 16, 17-year-old kids, and if they believe that they can't, then they won't. If they believe that they can, then they will. So apparently they believed.
Well, that's a great victory.
No, Anthony, you probably pull that one out every couple of weeks, I'm sure.
Right?
Now, especially given, hey, you've been in some games even with the great season, you turned it around. There were some games, I'm sure it felt like a lot of the games you played, they weren't all victories, but like you said, you don't stop fighting. And that's what a coach kind of said there. Tell me about Coach Murph that season, and don't harbor on the events, but that night certainly.
Yeah, Coach Murphy was such a good leader of men. He had everyone believing if we played the Dallas Cowboys, we'd have a chance. So love playing for him and love the time I got to spend with him. It's unfortunate because you're so young as a freshman and sophomore, and obviously all throughout high school, but didn't really get to appreciate Coach Murphy as much as I would have liked to, and as much as I do now.
Yeah, I'm sure that lessons from all, not only from your coach, from your history, especially spending time with Coach Lindsay, Coach
Mhm.
Carlo, and Coach Murphy, and where you are today, Anthony. It's all part of you. It's kind of like how it evolved. Dave, here's your story. But the best part comes. You talked about the seating here, trailing 25-0. But the best part here, Dave, is a quote that you mentioned where Murphy, talking about the comeback and the 20-0 halftime deficit against Ramona. You won 24-20, and Dave writes, "Come on, Murphy, did you really believe that?" He said, "I did, but it was a matter if my kids did." There, and then Dave described the plays there. Anthony, a couple of picks,
Yeah.
but 3 touchdowns, 334 yards. You saw the plays there with Green, 2 touchdowns. Medeiros, I think, had a pair of scores, Anthony. But I won't make too much light of it, brother. But Dave, great story there. We end up losing. But Dave, Bill, your dad picked Mira Mesa in that game. He was rarely wrong. He picked 27-20. Now the next week, we ended up in a pretty tough spot against the Golden Eagles of San Pasqual. Bill did pick San Pasqual, Dave, 28-14. Anthony, a rough one again, but we know he went on to bigger and better things, so we can tease him a little bit. 35-7, Dave. But Anthony, you'll appreciate this quote in the story the following week. You guys are down 21-0. Coach Murphy said, "I guess we were out of miracle comebacks."
Yeah, that was a tough one, and it's funny. I ended up playing with Jerick Armstrong, who was on that San Pasqual team and had 3 of those interceptions. So ended up playing with him at USD, which is a funny situation.
And yeah, Dave, go ahead, Dave. Just a touch. I'm sure you'll touch a little bit, Dave, on USD and the in Japan as well. We've been with Anthony on the show, but just for everyone to know, Anthony, career leader at USD, 12,628 yards, TD career TD passing leader, and of course, 7 touchdowns in a game. Not the only Torero to do it, but the huge game against Davidson. Dave, go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking, for my dad to, I think he was thinking, oh, I'm going to send him over to Mira Mesa. That's not going to be a close game. It may even turn to be a blowout with the number 5 going up against the number 12 seed. But a lot of times, and you know this better than anybody, Anthony, he liked to stir it up sometimes too. And he would put that, as a fearless forecaster, he would put it in there a lot of times knowing that you guys should win, but he would just stir it up and just to give you guys that extra to go in there and I guess kind of give you a little anger getting into that game and making those extra plays. But he did tell me that later. He said, "I sent you to your first game, and I'm thinking you're going to write a couple of lines, and it's going to be, done in 10 minutes. And there's going to be not many stats, and it ends up being the game of the week. How do you end up with your first game being the game of the week?" And he throws 3 picks. Were you expecting him? He was asking me, were you expecting him to do that? And I said, after I saw, no. I said, because they own the first half. No offense, sir, but then I was completely wrong. And talk about being an excited East County fan myself. And as you knew, my dad, he loved every East County team. He really did believe in every East County team, and he loved every East County team and coach and every player that he actually came into contact with. So for him to give me that one and to be talking to you today, I think that is a privilege within itself, because you talked to him probably, I don't know, probably 25, 30, maybe even more than that in your time.
Oh yeah. It was he did a lot of great work for East County, and East County doesn't always get the love and respect it deserves, but he did a good job doing it.
Yeah, we're starting to get a little bit more respect, Anthony, with the way things are going right now. And how, it doesn't make anything any easier on the Foothillers this year, but I don't think you'd have it any other way. This is an exciting non-conference schedule before you lead into that. Hellacious, awesome league schedule. But hey, Dave, guess who is going to be playing at Mira Mesa this year? I wish I had you in San Diego. Anthony will be there for a third game of the season, I think it is, as Grossmont takes on the Marauders. Also, road games at Olympian, home games against Patrick Henry, Otay, and Monte Vista. I think the one thing you can sell your kids, Anthony, is I believe all winnable games. Then no matter how you look at the league games and whoever's favored or whatever, you guys will be free rolling at that point, because Dave, the new system, I'll speak for Anthony because I don't know if they can go on record necessarily say it like this, but this league schedule will prepare them just like it did last year, whatever division they end up. Remember, we don't know the playoff divisions anymore until the season's over. So, Grossmont, I'll just take a stab at it. They're going to, fight for some league games. Maybe they beat Steel Canyon last year. So one or two upsets there, and they're going to find themselves very close to Division I because of the close to the schedule. But even if they end up in Division II or Division III, it won't be difficult to sell this team, Anthony, whoever your young players are. They'll be, I would believe, contenders in the playoffs for sure, just because of the way it works out and the strength of our teams right now, especially the Hills League.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I think Grossmont's going to be where I think we should be, and Steel Canyon's always solid, and then of course you got Mount Miguel, Granite, and Helix, who could potentially end up being 3 of the 4 open teams. To me, it's going to be one of the toughest leagues in the city, up with the Avocado League and the one of those city leagues. It's like you said, it's going to be a gauntlet. And then we got Modern Day Catholic, in week 10 in there as well. That's not a league game, but that's in that stretch right there. So, our last 5 games are going to be a real grind, and it'll, just like last year, like you said, it'll prepare us for the playoffs regardless.
Dave, it did prepare him last year for the way they ended up winning a couple of playoff games and going right back to the champ, where the Hillers belong, in the playoffs. And like I said, with this format now, Dave, I would think that the Hillers will be live here moving forward. Look, they had some rough games. Mount Miguel, lost to that game, but they'll get another chance now in league play. They upset Steel Canyon, Dave, beat Monte Vista from the Valley League, and then got rolling in the playoffs, Dave, with the win over Santa Fe Christian. Raymond Brown was out there. Maybe we can talk about the team a little bit, Dave. Got the clips anyway, and you could tell us, Anthony, about that game against the Santa Fe Christian last year and the way that the playoff team kind of got on a roll.
Yeah, we like you said, we really got hot at the right time. Santa Fe Christian was a super good team, super disciplined. Very rarely did the wrong thing or were out of a gap or anything. But the guys played so hard. We were missing our best receiver, Cody Bigley, during our playoff run, and the rest of the team stepped up. Isaac Aceves, our running back, who we didn't really lean on throughout the year, really came up clutch in our 3 playoff games, especially Santa Fe Christian and Mission Bay. And we leaned on him heavily, and he made a lot of plays right there. Noah Walker, that's Lawrence Walker's nephew.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, he was a sophomore for us last year, and he just picked up an offer from Colorado State. So he's going to look to have a really, really big junior year.
Was this a comeback also a little bit?
It was back and forth. We were probably down at some point in the game. I don't remember. There's no
We're
Walker.
seeing some late scoring here.
Yeah, no, he's a stud for us. Josh Ferrara, our defensive leader, really stepped up all game for us. just heating guys up all game. Close
Oh
one,
boy. Oh,
close
that,
one.
yeah.
But it
So,
was a fun playoff run.
so Dave, they end up winning this game 24-21. Then they beat the Mission Bay Bucks 34-14. Now, look, I've sat through some championship games, Dave, watching La Jolla Country Day against Grossmont Conference competition. We won't belabor the 73-34 final that we had there, but I see guys like Hudson Herbert. I see some other names that have obviously left here, Anthony. So that's on you to fix things up. There's, talk about some of the greats you had
Oh man.
there, but what is in store here really for it? I would imagine Dave talked about as being a culture a little bit. Oh, there's our man there. He was firing up the troops. I missed that there. He gave us a little bit of word, but look, everything's got to be exciting a little bit, getting kids back involved with the program on campus. What are the numbers? Is that anything catch fire here with the all the excitement from last season?
Yeah, I think the excitement was last season, so I think we'll be about the same as last year, right around that 140, 150 number total throughout the 3 programs, around 60, 65 on varsity. So it's good. We like you said, we lost a lot of guys. I think we had 31 seniors last year. A lot of them who had never played football before or never played high school football before. So we were an old team, but not a very experienced team. So we'll be a little younger this year with a lot more experience. So looking forward to that.
With that being said, are there any particular names that you have that have stood out to you, or speaking with some of the JV coaches that they've penciled in and maybe whispered in your ear that these are going to be some of the future top talent offensive or defensive players?
Yeah, we have we got a good group of 3 stud receivers coming back between Noah Walker, Parker Vanderberg, and Amari Riley, who are all returning. They weren't our leading receiver, right? That was Cody Bigley, but they're all coming back and going to be some studs for us.
Well, they were all double-digit catches for sure, right?
Yeah, they were all like Noah had 11 touchdowns and I think 600 yards in 7 games, and Parker and Amari were right around that 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. So they had some good varsity experience and ready to take that next step. We have a running back who's a sophomore, going to be a junior. He was on varsity last year, but was behind our lead guy. That's Jay Smith. He's gonna be a stud for us. We got a center coming up from JV, Maddox Jurgen, who has really taken a good lead of the offense and taking control of that O-line. We got a right tackle who, as a freshman, started in our semifinal and varsity game, and we had to get a waiver signed just so we could play, and he ended up starting for us in those 2 games. So Daniel Vidari, he's going to be our right tackle, going to be a stud. Defensively, guys who are coming up are Gage Weichelt. He's kind of a nickel DB guy. He's going to make a lot of plays for us. Ryder Robinson and Blake Smith and Jamarcus Portlock and Max Tufukafale are all on the D line. We got the group of sophomore D line who are going to be juniors this year are going to wreak havoc. So they're going to make a lot of noise. In the secondary, we have a lot of guys: Julian Garcia and Jaden Luong.
Oh, yeah, those guys were. Yeah, they're probably the top guys.
Oh yeah, they got a lot of good game experience last year. Between them, probably started, 17 games for us. So they're gonna come in and make some plays. We got a new safety who hadn't played football the first 2 years, but Kai Jones, he's gonna make some plays for us. A linebacker, Drew Cicena, who spent a little time on varsity, but super athletic Mike, and he's gonna kind of fill that run around, the Zandy Vasilou role. So looking forward to a big year, and of course there's going to be some guys who we don't even expect yet, who show up and make some plays. We got some young receivers coming up. So really looking forward to it. Tommy Donovan, who was the backup quarterback last year, he got some good play time, and also with the Bigley injury and some ineligibility stuff, he ended up starting at receiver for us in the semis and championship. So he'll be playing quarterback for us this year. And then Hudson Herbert's little brother transferred over from Steel Canyon.
Okay.
So unfortunately has to sit out, but he's going to play some quarterback. So I'm going to get him on the field, and it's nice to have a couple guys who can throw it, both athletic. Going to do some fun stuff, some good two QB packages, and don't want to give away all the secrets, but
No.
But
definitely some trickery this year.
Dave, look, your dad taught me everything about doing this type of work anyway. But you know what? One thing that I will profess right here that I've got on your late father, Dave. He used to talk to a head coach and have to write down every single name that Anthony just rolled off. All I got to do is go back and watch this on YouTube again.
Bang, learning the new age tricks.
Yeah, and you know what? I was that young kid that was watching him and was from probably 7, 8 years old. He's even got photos watching the Grossmont College Griffins and just learning stats at that age. And I never will be a sports writer. I will never have anything to do with it. I will never pick up a pen and paper, and I never want to do statistics ever, especially at the prep level. And lo and behold, what a liar. But after it's all said and done, that's why the last 2.5 weeks, I said to my wife, I said, I need to do something. I need to find a hobby. She goes, no, you do need to find a hobby. And I think I know what's missing. It's the sports coverage thing. You took 1.5 years off, but you and Ramon, you can't stop. You just can't. And it's, I guess once it's in your blood, look at yourself. I mean,
That's right. Perfect.
You broke all the records and you, as a player, and now you decided you want to be a coach. And I mean, who knows? You could take over the administration one day too, if that's something that you're interested in, but it's in your lifeblood. I mean, it just, that's the way it has to go.
From your dad, and everyone loves your dad, and he's involved heavily with the girls flag team as coach, our only representative last year, and they went to the semifinals, and there's more Grossmont conference teams this year. But I just think of, and I go back a little bit further in Grossmont coaching lore from coach. Your dad goes back further, Dave, but Judd Holbert, Coach Murphy, and Coach Carlo. But for Anthony to end up in this situation, for him, I think the culmination of all those instructors. And one thing that I caught when we had that coverage of you, Anthony, having a little fun with you with Steve Dolan, and that when you were playing for the championship in Japan and playing with that Panasonic team, was how much it must have weighed on you in your mind instructing, and you had to do a lot of instructing with not knowing the Japanese language, a lot of sign language, intimation, signaling, which is so important nowadays in today's style of offense, especially what you're running, the modern day style of offenses. So the coaching thing had to have been running in your brain early on, no matter what, as quarterback, I mean, there and all that. So
yeah,
now you're here.
I love football so much. I love playing it so much, and my if I could, I'd still be playing right now. I'd love to get into this coaching thing a few years down the road. But
I see Perez throwing it out there, and I'm thinking you can be. I mean, I think Perez is pretty fun to watch. I think you're kind of like him. Why couldn't you?
Man, I believe I could do it at the highest level. Unfortunately, what I'm finding out in a lot of situations is it's more about convincing other people you can, and convincing people to take a shot, not necessarily if you can or can't. But yeah, once the career started winding down, I really thought, man, I think I understand the game pretty well, and I think I can lead some people. And what I've been realizing, and you never want to compare yourself to Tom Brady, but Tom Brady always got the most out of everyone around him. And what I'm realizing about my career is the reason at least I believe I didn't get the offers or the shot at the NFL is the the physical kind of slowed me down, the physical attributes, the size, the speed, the arm strength. But what people can't really quantify is the culture you set, as a player or as a coach, and just demanding the best from everyone all the time. And so now I'm realizing maybe I was meant to be a coach more than a player, because now I can impact that, and maybe the quarterback will have a little stronger arm than I used to, and maybe be a little faster, and I can now still get everyone around him to play hard and play strong and play for each other. And it's a lot of fun, seeing these kids believe in themselves, seeing them overcome things they didn't think they could, and seeing them feel like winners. I think that was the thing that struck me most about taking over. Was had a few parents on the staff and then some people around school, and they just said repeatedly, they felt like losers. And high school sports isn't everything, but it means so much, to so many people. And I told them, not everyone can relate to playing college football, but wherever you go, you go to the grocery store, you go to the gym, you go to wherever you go, they're gonna be able to relate to high school football, whether they played or their brother played or they went to the games or whatever it is. You'll have that connection for the rest of your life. So giving those kids last year that experience and them buying in, and they did it. I tell them all the day, they thank me, and they're grateful and appreciative. But I said, I didn't make any tackles or throw any of those passes or catch any balls. They did all of it. So getting them to believe in themselves was awesome.
The coveted musket. Any words for that for the younger up and coming players, and how about yourself too? I know my dad definitely had his own words, I'm sure, under his breath, that he was never allowed to let loose, considering I lost track of how many the Highlanders have taken home. I'm sure Ramon, because you're one of those guys.
Anthony, I'm sorry that Dave brought this up, and if you want to dodge the question, I totally get it. I mean, I feel embarrassed that Dave has brought this up, and I totally apologize, sir, for what Dave has just said here over the last couple of minutes. So if I've got anything that you don't have, just comment now, and we don't have to. You could talk about the rest of the great. Look, they only lost to the Eagles by 22 points. They can close that gap this year, Anthony.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. I was negative 5 years old the last time the Hillers had the musket. So it's been a while. It's been 33 years now. I think I've learned my lesson about claiming this is the year to get the musket, because it hasn't worked yet. So I think I'm gonna choose the path of giving respect to the old Scotty Dogs, and they are obviously a machine. But like I said, like Coach Murphy said, I'm going to get these kids to believe they could go out and beat Alabama, so we're going to go out expecting to win every game. And I know that's not going to happen, but we're going to believe in ourselves. And man, how awesome would it be if we got that back?
Maybe some of your kids know a little bit about that. Maybe they don't. I think maybe that they'll see this and go back and look at the history maybe of Grossmont football. And look, with all due respect to the troubling year that the Hillers encountered, there wasn't to say that the Grossmont Foothiller program couldn't have grown from that. But Anthony, what you brought in is just a little bit more of a dynamic, not only presence, but offense too. And that's so important right now in today's football. Yes, you can win with a solid defense and maybe a different type of way of doing things, but maybe not right now. So look, it was all, whatever. This is for the better. It was a great season last year. Yeah, there were some tough games, but again, they will be rewarded, Dave, whether or not they reach the championship or not. They're going to be live in the playoffs, Dave.
Offensive line, and offensive line. And I'm sure you can agree with me on that one, Anthony, in particular.
Anthony's spent a few dollars on some lineman lunches, I'm sure. In his life.
Yeah. No doubt.
I mean, even let's put it this way. I think the money they're spending on my professional team being the Broncos and losing and losing and losing a lot. I mean, you could have probably been right there with Bo Nix with the line that they're building up right now, from what I understand, and the money that they're spending to protect a guy like that. So maybe you should put your resume in there.
I'll get it in front of anyone. Anyone who'll take it.
I mean, look, a lot of people know about our man, Anthony Laura. I mean, a good roll off more of the USD numbers. Dave, of course, not only, I didn't even mention, the most pass completions in a season and career at USD, but also, and Dave didn't want me to mention it too much. We covered it before, Anthony, but in Japan with that Panasonic team, you took the team to the championship game over there, and I'll still make fun of that. They didn't let you stay on the field with that 2-point conversion, but again, that culture there and the time, was it 2 seasons or 3? 3 seasons, 2 championship games?
2 championships, 2 championships and a semifinals, all by a total of 8 points.
Right. So, and that's what we're talking about, I think, Dave, with, the winning and giving yourself a chance to win, even against those games where, if the team look, we know who's going to be expected. We know the predictions and all that. But with offense nowadays, you give your team a chance. You give your team a fighting chance in a lot of these games. So, and it's only going to grow as long as we got, we made fun of Danny, taking over at Christian for 1+ seasons, Dave, but I feel like we've got Anthony, his dad's coaching the flag team. I'm sure, Anthony, do you go out there, and I'm sure you're tired, but you've got to oversee the program, and your dad, I know you were out there last year. I saw it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can't make all the games
flag too, because it's coming, man. It's coming.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for the sport, and I think it's really cool that the PPR is covering them as well. I think it's going to be a big boom, and I'm really, really excited for it. The game's going to develop so fast. I talked to my dad about this, just because girls never grew up playing football. You know what I mean? Typically, they're playing other sports, and the skills don't necessarily directly translate. Soccer is going to teach you how to cut, and softball and volleyball have good hand-eye coordination, and basketball, same thing. But once they can start to develop, and now girls are going to be playing when they're 6 years old until high school, so the games, the product of the game is just going to continue to skyrocket. And yeah, Grossmont had a phenomenal season last year, going to the semifinals. So I'm a big supporter, and I love getting out there and supporting. And we had a girl on our team last year on the tackle team who's now transitioned to full-time flag, so gonna definitely go support her and support my dad. My little brother's coaching the flag as well, so it's a lot of fun to go to those games.
Well, and if you recall, I don't have the year at the top of my head. I'm sure Ramon does, but I think the number was actually 14, but the Hillers actually had a phenomenal kicker a couple years back.
They've had several female. The sisters. They had the 2 sisters. You're talking about female kickers, Dave?
The Huff sisters, right?
They were terrific.
Yes.
They were all league caliber. If I'm not, one of them was, I think, a little bit better, and then the other. And then there was, I believe, another one maybe prior of that. But I know that there've been a history of female kickers at Grossmont.
Yeah, definitely. I know the 2 sisters. I don't know of any others. Okay. The girl we had played actually corner for us last year. So it's just it's really cool, and it's really fun, and I loved coaching her. But I was a supporter of her going to flag and kind of having a big season over there for them.
Well, and I mean, we're talking about the actual playing. I mean, how many more professional refs do we see and umpires on the actual professional NFL fields these days? We have more reporters every year. I think we're going to get phased out if we're not careful. So, Ramon, myself, and Al Michaels he's going to have to retire.
Dave,
yeah.
remember we talked to Coach Mitchell last week, and he was chosen to go to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers uh, coaching clinic. I guess it was they drew from a pool of people, and so many female coaches were there. And because of the quality of the coaching clinic, they were really kind of the elite female coaches. There were some strong male coaches, like our guy Danny was there meeting with the Buccaneers, and they let them work right with teams that were in there, with players that were in there, live coaching and all that. But because of the type of clinic and the way they ran it, they mostly had a lot of elite female coaches there in that as well. So 4 teams this year from the Grossmont Conference. Dave and Anthony, Grossmont, Granite Hills, Santana, and Steel Canyon. So I know the season runs concurrently with regular football. So we'll see out there. You can still get involved, but I think they're getting rolling here if you ladies are interested as well. So Anthony, thanks. Dave, I don't know if you have anything else. Anthony, are high school kids going to be wearing the new equipment that we might be seeing at other levels, padded caps that there are being issued now throughout different levels? And are we behind a little bit in that safety at high school level? Do you know anything about this?
We wear them at practice.
Guardian caps.
The Guardians, yeah, our lines and our linebackers and running backs, they wear them at practice. I don't know if we'll ever get them in the games, but yeah, we wear them in practice, and that's new to me because when I was in high school, we didn't have any of those. So obviously we had them at USD. But yeah, now we're wearing them in practice.
Okay.
So
thank you for that. I'm trying to get a grip on this because we're going to see them at other levels. Dave, go ahead.
So
I think safety is so important that I would think that if that was something that we're seeing, we might see NFL players using it this year. You would think that it would seem important, but I'm asking that because I want to get a grip on this right now. Go ahead, Dave.
Is there anybody besides league play, obviously, that you have circled on your calendar that you're really looking forward to facing this season?
Yeah, thanks. And one more look at the schedule. You're in the Hills League, so let me run through it again. You know it already, but home versus Henry, at Olympian, at Mira Mesa, versus Otay, and versus the Monarchs. I think. Do I have it? I think I have it right.
That's right. Yeah. Really looking forward to that first home opener. Patrick Henry. They'll be a good test. They were a good D3 playoff team last year.
They have passing team still. Are they wild?
They're throwing it around. Yeah, they have a good quarterback from last year. They had a good quarterback. Oh yeah. And then obviously, like you said earlier, going to Mira Mesa is going to be special. And then yeah, that late season non-conference game against Mater Dei Catholic is going to be a really good test as well. So obviously,
that's right.
All of our opponents are going to be good and going to fight. But if I had to choose any of those three non-conference games are pretty big time.
Well, again, talked about it, Dave, with the Hills League, right? And now with more teams, I've got too bad you got to stick old Mater Dei Catholic right there in the middle of the Hills League schedule, Anthony. But you can't.
Right. Brutal.
And the funny thing is, you right here, Anthony, you have a Highlander, an Eagle, and a Foothiller right here on the show right now. So I don't want to gloat too much, but it took so many years, and I had to leave in order for Granite Hill to finally get a state championship.
Man, what a run!
Yeah.
What a run they've been on.
But that's why I was wondering if that was one of the teams, like especially come playoff time, that would be somebody you would want to play again because you stayed in the game. I mean, you guys were you could have won the game.
Yeah, they were really good, and they were a really good team, and they got out pretty early, and we scratched and clawed back pretty well. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing them this year. They graduated a lot of guys. They had a ferocious D-line last year that they graduated most of those guys, and had some deep stud DBs that they graduated. So looking forward to them and Helix and Mount Miguel for sure. That's that's a battle in the hills. And Steel Canyon is always, massive and strong in the trenches. It's we're in for a fun second half of the season.
Coach Longerbone always has something up his sleeve too, so you gotta be watching that film with him. I've watched him many a times, and boy, they, even if their record doesn't show, so they are competitive every year.
No doubt.
Lastly, I just want to ask Anthony, are you home at this point in time? Are you home for the long haul? Are you ever looking to go to the next level as a coach? Maybe college.
The CFL comes calling. No, go ahead.
Right. I'll still throw it around at practice and stuff. No, I want to give everything I have to Grossmont right now. I would love to get back to the college level. I'd love to end up as the head coach at USD. So coaching for both my alma maters as the head coach would be a lot of fun. So I'm still involved over there on campus, but right now in the foreseeable future, I'm giving everything I have to
How about it? I'm not gonna. We'll talk about off the screen really, but I'm glad you're there at USD and helping that culture recuperate a little bit, because Coach Lindley, feels bad in a way for everybody, but I'm not going to be down on the situation. But of course, going back even before you to Coach Harbaugh and the tradition there, that would be awesome to have a guy like Anthony moving forward one day to lead the USD Toreros. And football is growing. And, if nobody remembers Anthony, hey, and I got one more for you getting out of here. I didn't have really any setup for it, but you got to remember this one to Bandy Anthony. Tell me.
Man. Oh, man, the 99-yarder. That guy, Bandy, now he's on the Broncos now doing his thing. Just went to his wedding this summer. So it was a fun time, man. That was a special game.
Look at the time of the game there, and this was a game. This was the game, right? This is the 7 touchdown, 556 yards against Davidson.
Yeah, that was
These are all Bandy. These are Bandy's video, I think, by the way. Somebody else had it, but they're all. We do. Get that off the screen, Dave. Who ordered these highlights? That was awesome. You had a couple, I think, that day. Who cares? You had 556 yards and 7 touchdowns. Johnson, of course, had 7 TDs, and another Torero. You probably know who it was, but thanks, Dave. Awesome, man. We catch you during the season as well. We'll be trying to report on as much as we can. Make sure you're. Please make sure. I know you did one of the first things. Make sure your cameras work. Your NFHS cameras working, so I can watch all the games, please. Make sure all the timing is set up so Ramon doesn't miss. I want to go to all the games. I just find it a little better to watch as many games as I can as possible.
No doubt.
Kind of crazy. I don't know what's more embarrassing, that trying to watch 4 or 5, 6 high school games at once now on a Friday night, or having a picture of the musket on my phone. Anthony and Dave. Go ahead, Dave. You can get us out of here.
Yeah, I just once again, I want to thank you so much that to get you on the show, and I know it was short notice, kind of like with Anthony, with Danny as well. But it's really great to see you again after so many years. Like I said, I was probably 36 years old, just starting to get into this, and even decided to go back to college myself into the computer industry. But I just can't get away from the, just like yourself, I can't get away from the preps, and especially football program and baseball. And then especially our East County. It's just, my dad started me on it, and I try to do my best as far as keeping his legacy going, as does my partner, Ramon Scott. And with that being said, we appreciate the time that you gave us tonight. We hope to talk to you soon, or maybe even a couple of your players later on in the year.
Definitely.
And For Ramon Scott, I'm Dave Dickens, and we thank you so much, Anthony, and we'll see you soon.
See you guys. Thank you so much. Really appreciate
Go
it.
Hillers!
Go Hillers.